Welcome to War of the Stars, a Star Wars podcast, broadcasting from deep within the Outer Rim, far beyond the watchful eyes of the Empire and on the fringes with the New Republic. Join your hosts Garrett K. Jones, Brian Karasik, and John Mark Tolley as they discuss the various facets of the saga's lore and characters, review the films, and discuss every tidbit of news coming out of Lucasfilm. Remember, this isn't just your Star Wars. This isn't just my Star Wars. This is our Star Wars. This is the way.
It is indeed the way. Welcome to War of the Stars. And we have a special guest along with us, Garrett. It is
Yes, we do.
Brian from accounting.
Yay!
Brian from accounting.
I don't know why. Hold on, let me get my camera. There we go.
Don't worry, I'm gonna be changing
Brian
angle here
Miller.
a little bit.
Welcome back to Brian Miller from the Star Wars Canon podcast. Is that still around?
Yeah, we're on a bit of a hiatus right now because like Mark and I were talking before we decided to record. I've got 2 kids that we adopted and a 6-year-old, and so life has just been and so
yeah. Oh yeah.
With work and
everything. Aren't kids in general chaos?
Yes,
they are.
Not the good kind. Sometimes, most of the time, good time.
Most of the time,
not always.
So, for those of you who do not know who this gentleman is, he is one of the original hosts of War of the Stars. He is a good friend of the show, good friend of mine, and an all-around cool guy. And if you want to know anything to do with canon, he is as I used to like to say, he's the Jocasta Nu of the Star Wars universe. When it comes to canon.
Everything except the end of the High Republic. I don't know how the High Republic ends yet. I haven't got there, but everything else,
Yes. So we are here. We're going to be talking about the books because this guy is, when it comes to canon books, this guy is, as I said, pretty much knows anything and everything there is to know. But before we get started, we talked about a little bit last week when it was still people were still kind of like what's going on, but it is now confirmed Kathleen Kennedy is stepping down officially from the head of Lucasfilm. Now, from what I understand, she will still be producing.
I cheered. Sorry.
But she will no longer be doing the day-to-day, heading up the day-to-day operations at Lucasfilm. So it's, it's official now that Filoni will be taking over, at least creatively, the reins.
There's a part of me that's very, 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 very happy about this. There's another part of me that is a little bit concerned about the direction because, don't get me wrong, I think Filoni is great creatively, but I'm worried that now what we're going to see is an influx of nothing but Ahsoka projects, and I think Karasik would probably agree with me on that. I'm hoping that's not the case. I'm very, very cautiously optimistic, but
I'm just thinking we're going to see wolves everywhere. Just wolves.
Wolves. Running a Coruscant.
Oh my gosh, probably. Yeah. 359 of them, if you get that reference.
I think, because I mentioned this in one of the posts that I read, that I think those who think that Filoni is going to be the savior of Lucasfilm need to let's pump their brakes a little bit because we're not sure what's going to happen now, and he's not completely the one in control. You still have another person who is going to be doing the day-to-day management, the financial stuff and stuff like that. So
Yeah, well, and to be fair though, it's they're taking on that same model that that we have seen Warner Brothers do with DC Studios, where you've got James Gunn in control of the creative stuff, and then Peter Safran or Safran, not Saffron. Saffron's a completely different character from a different verse, much prettier too. And but Peter Safran is handling all the financials and stuff like that for DC Studios, and I think that's wise because then you've got two people who are helming the ship, and they are able to take on certain responsibilities that work best for their skill sets, rather than having one person handling all those decisions and things just kind of going the way they have gone in recent years.
Yeah. What are your thoughts, Brian? You're the canon guy, so
when I saw this news, I ran through my house screaming, yes, 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 yes. My wife didn't know what was going on.
Seven.
Yeah, seven. Yeah, I was screaming through the house, and my wife was like, "What is going on?" And I told her, "No." I was like, "I love this." I understand everybody's like hesitancy on it. I get it, and I'm with you on it. I know that everybody, like you said, Garrett. I know everybody thinks he's going to do a crap load of Ahsoka stuff and everything like that, but he's given us stuff that wasn't around Ahsoka. Also, Bad Batch wasn't around Ahsoka. He helped work on the Tales of the Empire, Tales of the Jedi, stuff like that. Also, of course, the Tales of the Jedi had some Ahsoka in it. But I think when you hear Dave Filoni talk about, so this is a great example. There was a video a while back. I think it was in the gallery thing for Mandalorian. If you watch that for season 1, he talks about how the lightsaber battle from the Phantom Menace, the Duel of the Fates, links all the way to that fight with Luke and Vader in Return of the Jedi. And he explains how it links to it. And so it's not just Ahsoka. He understands Star Wars on a level that even I didn't even comprehend it on.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people don't comprehend it on. There was an interview a while back. He was talking about the Ahsoka series. It was him and Rosario, and Hayden was there. They were doing a video call. They were basically asking him, if he thought he would ever get that position. He was like, well, and at the time, obviously you got to say the thing where you're like, no, I'm happy where I'm at and blah, blah, blah. Obviously he wanted this job, but he was like, I'm happy where I'm at. And he was like, Andor's awesome. All these other things are awesome. I think he's got the mind to really get into some of the lore stuff, but also he said you also have to make stuff for kids and you got to make stuff for the sweaties. And so you have to work that, he compared it to a buffet. You can't just have one type of food at a buffet. You have to have all these different kinds, and whatever somebody wants, they can go get. And that's what that's what I think he's got the mentality for it. I know he was lined up to do like one of the films. He was going to direct one of the films. I'm not sure how that's going to work out now.
Well, didn't he direct The Mandalorian and Grogu though? I mean, that's coming out in 4 months.
Did he? No, he didn't direct that, did he?
Let me find out.
I could be wrong. I thought that was Favreau through and through.
It could be. What? That sounds like you might be more accurate than I am. Yeah, it's Jon Favreau. You're right.
Okay, but I'm sure Dave Filoni had a lot to do with the movie. I'm sure he did. Absolutely.
Well, I mean, and I know a lot of people, we talked about this last week, have been wanting Filoni to be more in charge when it comes to creative, because Filoni always had that reputation as being, I think he even got the nickname as being George's Padawan.
The heir apparent, yeah.
Like he was the heir apparent.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think, we can't, and we mentioned this last week, but we have to, when we look back at Kathleen Kennedy, I think, especially as Star Wars fans, we look at just this, and we have to look at her whole body of work. And I remember I was on a episode of What Does Star Wars Mean to You? But which, by the way, if you haven't seen that episode,
it was a good episode.
Great show. It's a great show. And we were talking about Kennedy and how, in a lot of ways, she was there for, as you know, as far as being a producer, executive producer, responsible for my childhood. I mean, The Goonies, Raiders of the Lost Ark,
Yeah.
E.T. I mean, so much. So, yes, there are some questionable things that she did, but at the same time, she kept the ship alive when it came to Star Wars, and now it's time to kind of move in a different direction. And
Yeah.
you know,
Well, producing and being a studio head are two entirely different jobs.
yeah, and she
Yes.
is still going to be producing.
She
They
doesn't want-
kind of made that clear that she's still going to be a producer.
Yes.
She's not retiring from producing.
Everybody was running with, oh, she's retiring this week. No, she's not. She's still gonna produce. I don't know why everybody was just like, she's gone, do. Like the Ewok music was playing in the background. Like
I loved your with the gaffy stick. The Tuscan.
yeah. No, I think this is look, whether Dave Filoni does a good or bad job, it's obviously subjective. He's not going to win everybody over. There's going to be people that are mad just because they want to be mad, and they're going to say it sucks just because they want to say it sucks. But I think it is time, and it should have happened several years ago, in my opinion. I think it is time for a new breath of fresh air into it. I think somebody else does need to step in. I don't care who it is at this point, honestly, but somebody needs to step in and
I think probably one of the biggest things that needs to happen is that they need to take a step back and they need to stop Disneyfying Star Wars as much as they have. Like, don't get me wrong. I like the fact that Disney is able to funnel money into Star Wars and into something I love. But the problem that Disney has had since the Michael Eisner era is that they bank on the side of quantity over quality.
Yeah.
And we've said this before on the show, and I think it was Karasik that may have said it, but Star Wars needs to feel like an event again. And it hasn't felt like an event in quite a while.
Mm-hmm.
I said this on my show a while back, because they just come out and announced, like, I think it was when they announced Starfighter. I think it was around Celebration when they announced Starfighter. And I remember saying, if Disney could make Star Wars movies as awesomely as they make Star Wars movie announcements, we would be in the golden age of Star Wars. Because it seems like every single celebration, they're like, oh, here's 4 new movies that you didn't know about. And we haven't had a single one. I know we have one coming out this year. We haven't had a single one since 2019. And we've had how many movie announcements? Supposedly there's like Star Wars movies in production that have zero status.
Well, yeah. Well, as far as I'm concerned, the Rey one has been shot down.
I don't see that one ever happen.
No. Well, and not only that, but I don't know if you guys caught when, I'm sure Brian you have, but Galaxy's Edge is switching gears. They're getting rid of the sequel trilogy era characters
apart. Yeah.
And they're replacing them with the original trilogy characters. So we're going to have Vader, we're going to have Chewbacca in more full detail. We're going to have someone playing Han. We're going to have Leia. We're going to have Luke.
Yeah.
And it's about freaking time.
Yeah. With the announcements thing, like it's the Rey thing. I said remember when they announced those 3 movies, it was like a Rey movie, it was like a Dawn of the Jedi movie, and then like that Mando verse movie that they were talking about doing, supposed to be like Heir to the Empire or whatever it was. Once they announced those 3 movies, they made this big deal that Daisy Ridley was coming back. And I was like, she's been gone 3 years. I don't like, has she been gone 15 and they were bringing her back? I'd be like, oh yeah, cool. Daisy Ridley's coming back. But they made it this big announcement that she's coming back for the next movie. Obviously, like, you're going to use her. Why wouldn't you? But like out of all those projects they announced, none of them have happened yet. And out of all of them, I think that Rey movie is the least likely to happen because they just keep kicking that can further and further down the road. I'm not sure what's going to happen with that. I think we all call it the Heir to the Empire movie. That's what I call it. The one Dave Filoni was doing with Thrawn and
Mandoverse one.
Yeah. I think the movie is still going to happen. I just think I don't think Dave Filoni is going to helm it now. And then we haven't heard anything at all on the Dawn of the Jedi one.
No.
And so
James, the whole that and the one that was being directed by Ryan Johnson was
there was nothing.
There was no script. It was mothballed. And
The Taika
And-
Waititi movie will never see the light of day. He
No.
can't get it finished. Simon Kinberg is supposedly working on a trilogy, an entirely separate trilogy. That's never going to happen. You know,
No.
I mean,
Yeah.
because they announced all these different movies and all these trilogies, and then what are the next two movies coming out? Two movies that were never announced with everything else, announced after the fact, and they're coming first.
Yeah.
The Mando and Grogu movie and Starfighter.
Starfighter, yeah. Which that was really supposed to be the Rogue Squadron.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then that got scrapped, and then they retooled that into Starfighter.
And if you look at the timing on all those news stories between the Rogue Squadron thing and Starfighter, it's very funny because you can almost piece it together exactly what happened. And this is the way I kind of look at it. Patty Jenkins said she wanted to do Rogue Squadron, and then they put it on the back burner because that was when Kathy Kennedy was like, well, you know, we need to have a roadmap, and that doesn't necessarily fit into the roadmap that we have set forward from here on out. And then that kind of got scrapped. And then they started talking about Patty Jenkins' movie coming back and that she was working on it again. Patty Jenkins said she was working on it again.
Yeah.
And then it comes out that Sean Levy is working on a Star Wars movie. And then all of a sudden, Patty Jenkins is canceled again. And then Sean Levy's comes out and it's Starfighter.
So think about here's why though. The last movie that Patty Jenkins did that I'm aware of was Wonder Woman 1984, which tanked at the box office. Well, it tanked partly because of the fact that we had no box office because it was 2020 and it was released same day on HBO Max.
Yes.
But then Sean Levy had two back-to-back hits. He had Free Guy, which blew up because like they had been cracking wise about the pandemic and the movie would be coming out at some point, someday, whatever, because that's just how Ryan Reynolds operates, which is brilliant marketing for them. And the movie actually did really, really well for an August release. Then he comes out just a couple years later with Deadpool and Wolverine. And that movie blew up at the box office. It was one of the biggest Marvel releases in the last 5 years.
Yep.
So
he's gold at this point.
Yeah. He's not in every movie he has done has been successful.
Yeah.
Including Real Steel, which I didn't care for.
I loved Real Steel. I didn't know Sean Levy did Real Steel.
Yeah.
I did not know that. I loved Real Steel. I thought that was a great movie.
Sean Levy has done a bunch of stuff that like you wouldn't have normally associated his name with, but he's done really well on. And so he hasn't hit that point where he's in director's jail, like Taika Waititi.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I have no worries about Starfighter at this point. I think that's going to be a pretty cool hit. It'll be fresh.
I do have one thing I want to see in Starfighter because is the one of the things that ticked me off so much in Rise of Skywalker is I want Dennis Lawson to have a guest spot in it, and he better be in a freaking X-wing.
Dennis Lawson was in Rise of Skywalker. Yeah, let's fly, Lando.
No, that I said I loved that I saw him, but I'm like, no. Why is he in the gun? Why is he in the Falcon gunning seat? He needs to be in an X-wing. He's a pilot.
I'm about to ruin your day, Mark. You said you just finished the Aftermath trilogy too. You know he was very close to Snap Wexley, and in Rise of Skywalker, Wedge has no idea Snap Wexley just died moments before he shows up.
I know.
I was like, I saw him show. He's like, "Let's fly, Lando." I'm like, "Oh my gosh!" Wait until Poe tells him about Snap. Like, oh my
man. I think this is a good way to
segue into the book.
Segue into our.
So
I do have to say one thing. I was telling Brian off air earlier before you got on here that I just got done reading the Aftermath trilogy, and it introduced one of my new favorite droids, Mr. Bones.
I love Mr. Bones.
I love Mr. Bones. And the guy, because I listened to it on tape, and the guy that they had do the voice acting for it was amazing, and the way he does Mr. Bones' voice, like that's what I hear now is especially he goes, "I performed violence."
He was very HK-47-ish.
HK, yeah, a little HK, yeah. Just
they even threw in the meat bag reference when he.
We were talking about that last week. When we did our episode on droids. Yeah.
And actually, fun fact: when you play Star Wars Outlaws, which takes place between Empire and Jedi, you go to Akiva and you meet Snap Wexley when he's a little boy, and there are remnants of a battle droid laying out on a workbench where it's him building Mr. Bones. Mr. Bones isn't in the game, but you can see the
Project.
So as far as books, as far as Star Wars is concerned, I haven't read a whole lot lately. The last 2 books I read were last year, and they were audiobooks. They were written by George Mann, who, of course, has written several books. I take that back. There's 3 that I've listened to, and I'll talk about the third one in just a moment. But the first 2 both take place during the High Republic. The first one is called Seeds of Starlight, and the second one is called Haunted Starlight. Have you read them, Brian?
I have not. Those are audio dramas, right?
Yeah, they were made specifically for Audible.
When it comes to High Republic, the way this went down was I was keeping up with High Republic until recently. The last thing I think I read for High Republic was Temptation of the Force, and then because they were coming out so sporadically, and I had given Phase 1 a break, we read Phase 1 and then we read Phase 2, which kind of separated us from 1, and then we come back to 3, and it was like, oh, I got to remember who these characters are. I just decided to go back before I finished High Republic and just reread everything from Phase 2 on. So I'm in the middle of reading High Republic chronologically right now, and those 2 audio dramas came out after I'd already gotten past the point of where they took place on the timeline.
So you don't really it's fun because they don't really talk much about any of the timelines. There is a war that takes place before the events of Seeds of Starlight. So because I haven't read any of those books, I'm not as familiar with that conflict. But what's interesting is they're on this planet, and let me pull up the title details because the 2 books take place back to back.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're on an oceanic world called Irem.
Yep.
And it's a Jedi Master and 3 Padawans. One has like a vocoder issue, like he lost his throat. Well, I think he loses his throat. Yeah, he loses his throat before the events of the stories or whatever. But like he helped out. And the Padawans are the main characters for this, not the Jedi Masters. And what's interesting, because I mean, obviously it's a more kid-oriented story, and I think it's really good despite some of it. But what I think is interesting, they are looking for this space station or vessel called Starlight Beacon, which is crashed underneath the oceans. And in the process, they come across the seeds of a species called the Drengen.
Yes.
Or the Drengir, yeah. And what's cool is like they're part plant matter, part animal. And what they reminded me of, being a fan of Halo, is they remind me so much of the Flood.
Yeah.
There's that hive mind mentality. There's that consumption and that absorption and assimilation. And then at the end of it, at the end of the second book, Haunted Starlight, they just want to leave because the Drengir are anticipating some kind of blight coming to the planet. Yes. And they're trying to outrun the blight. Mm-hmm. I have no idea what the blight is beyond just whatever it's called, because they don't really give a whole lot of information.
Right.
But then because of how they plugged into different consciousnesses and star maps and stuff like that, they're specifically aiming for Kashyyyk.
That makes sense.
I'm like, oh, I kind of want to know what the follow-up is on this.
Well, so I can explain a little bit of it. So Drengir is, like you said, a plant species from High Republic. It was introduced in Phase 1. One of the very first novels they released, I think it was Into the Dark. There was a space station called the Amaxine Station, and this group that had a couple of Jedi with them. It was this big section of the station that just had all this plant life, and it was just regular plant life. But they found these Sith idols. And so the Jedi decided, you know how they are with Sith stuff. They're like, oh, we got to take care of this so nobody else gets a hold of it and everything. And so when they removed the Sith idols to take them back to Coruscant, because, there's a big Sith shrine underneath the Jedi temple, they find out that the Sith idols were holding the Drengir at bay, and that's what causes them to animate and come to live and be like. And so they end up being this huge problem all throughout Phase 1.
So really, it's the Jedi's fault that the Drengir even come back.
Yeah, and then they actually they realize they messed up so bad. They're like, we need to take the idols back, and so they're like trying to take these Sith idols back. It was just this huge mess. And then the blight that they're talking about. Before I stopped reading Phase 3 to go back to reread Phases 2 and 1. There's a creature in the High Republic that's called the Nameless, which is weird because that's a name. But they feed on the Force. They feed on the Force, and so when they get around a Jedi or anybody that's Force sensitive, it causes this Force sensitive to feel this immense fear and terror that they can't control. They lose connection to the Force, and then they basically calcify. They turn into what they call a husk, and it causes them to physically turn to ash and to basically and it's anybody who's sensitive to the Force. And so that's what the blight is. They find this blight in the 3rd phase of High Republic where planets are turning to ash and they don't know what's causing it. So but that's the blight they're talking about, which would make sense because it's eating vegetation and like metal, like everything. So it would make sense to Drengir, like, we're out. We don't want anything to do with that.
Yeah. Because they're Force sensitive to a point.
Right. They're dark side Force sensitive. They're basically dark side energy.
Yeah. Yeah. The third book I listened to, I just listened to it right before the end of the year. What's happening?
Sorry, I'm having a little issue on my end.
Oh, no worries. So the third book I listened to, it came out last October, and I didn't listen to it until right before the end of the year. And it's called, let's see, the title is Star Wars Audio Adventures Dark Legend, also written by George Mann. And this one, have you read this?
I love Dark Legends. I adore that book.
Dude, so apparently it came out way before, or I guess, and it was released on audio on October 16th. And so I saw this, I looked at, I'm like, this sounds really good. And I loved this book. It was so much fun. Like it was kind of like Scary Tales to Tell in the Dark, but with the Star Wars twist.
Yeah.
And like, there's some of the stories, like you can kind of see the twist coming really easily. What was it? The one about the Sith Lord who's wanting to live forever. And, and she ends up going through this whole ritual, and then it just completely corrupts her. Yeah. And it's like, oh yeah, I saw that one coming. Others were the Mask one. I thought was probably one of the better stories.
Oh, I loved that one.
Yeah, it was so well done, and I really enjoyed. I wish I could pull up the individual chapter headings for it. In fact, let me see if I can pull up.
Dark Legends was actually a follow-up to another one he wrote that you would like called Myths and Fables.
Mm-hmm.
Same kind of thing. It's little short stories like that. One of them is like Obi-Wan fighting a crate dragon. They don't refer to him as Obi-Wan, but from context clues, you can figure out that it's Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
And like, there's some really cool stories in that one too. And then there's also a Life Day Treasury. He did some Christmas stories that are Life Day stories that happen in Star Wars. So it's kind of like a little trilogy of books like that. But Dark Legends was my favorite. I loved that. That was a great little collection of.
Yeah, I'm trying to look up the list of stories here because I thought it was so clever. Like George Mann is like, he is someone that I've never read any of his stuff before, but I can see where he gets the like he's into the lore as much as possible. And was it me, or did Blood Moon feel very much like a reference to that blight that we were talking about just a moment before?
You have to remind me what the Blood Moon one was.
So Blood Moon, I'm pulling up the story right now. A human woman named Fiona Takot leads an expedition to the moon of Lutal, The expedition members included a woman named Romina Foss, a one-eyed Lasat named Borzel, a Togruta named Cavrolosis, and a Savanan named Cordis Vrac.
Yes, definitely.
And they have 2 excavation droids. And after they set up camp, there's an eerie light that comes from the moon, and it's blood red, and it feels like the moon is like the source of a kyber, or maybe the star is that it's the it's a heart of, it's a dying star, and it has a heart of pure kyber crystal.
Mm-hmm.
And so the solar flares and the radiation are working with that kyber crystal and twisting it towards the dark side.
Yeah, that was very cool. Yeah, no, very cool. Those are really cool stories. And what's cool about them is that they're not necessarily like canon, but they're like in-universe legends. Like they're stories that people in Star Wars would sit around a campfire and tell each other. And so that's what I loved.
Yeah.
Like, are they real? Did they happen or did they not happen? We don't know. Like, there wasn't there one about an orphanage too, where they said
that's the first story.
Yeah, Darth Vader was going to show up and steal him from an orphanage. It was the Inquisitors stealing kids from orphanages. I was like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. Yeah, no, those are really cool. I love them.
So the ones I have.
Mark? I think Mark froze.
I think he did. Carbonite.
It always gets us too.
The last thing we need now is more casualties from a needless firefight.
Oh,
is that?
my Knights of the Old Republic came back up on my other monitor.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
We can hear you, Mark. Can you hear us?
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you.
But
We just can't see you moving. Oh, there we go.
Okay. All right. Sorry, you guys froze on me for a while.
You froze on us too.
Force X-Wing Mercy Kill. It is.
Stackpole.
What's
like
that?
Was it Stackpole?
No, this is Aaron Alston wrote it. And it takes place after the Using Vong War and after the rise of Darth Caedus and that whole thing. And it deals with a Wraith Squadron, not Rogue Squadron, Wraith Squadron, which is you can see where, what was the squadron that Wedge had.
What was the what now?
What was the squadron that Snap was part
that was Wraith. That
Wedge
was Wraith
set up.
Or Phantom. Was it Phantom? No, that was Poe. I think it was Wraith Squadron. I'm pretty sure it was. I'm almost positive.
This had a different name. Anyway, it's really interesting because they're fighter pilots, but they're also kind of spies, and they go. The term they used was unorthodox warfare is what they specialize in. And one of the characters in it, a Grammorian, who is a fighter pilot, a starfighter pilot. And he's been heavily modified and had spell work done to the fact that he is now a genius, a mathematical genius, and can, like, in his mind, compute complex mathematical. He can do like what a droid can do as far as doing hyperspace things in his mind, and he's very much a I'm better than you, I'm smarter than you type of mentality. It's so great. To think of this, Grammorian as almost like this super genius Grammorian. And he's got a voice modifier in his translator that he has got implanted inside of him that can translate all the grunts and squeals into the basic, of course, which is
that's awesome.
But, yeah. I did that one, and of course, Dawn of the Jedi, Into the Void, which was such a great book. Seeing this version of the Jedi, yes, yeah, seeing this version of the Jedi, pre-Jedi was so cool.
How bad would it be if we just decided to make the same face?
Uh-oh.
He is actually frozen in
That follows
carbon.
this.
Yeah, he really is.
What's that?
You
I was
keep
hoping he was going
freezing.
to come out of it and be like, "Who are you?" And be like, "Someone who loves you."
What's going on?
You were frozen.
I was just talking my head off too. I was just blah 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 blah. Oh man.
Oh God, I love that. So much fun.
I think we found our thumbnail. And now Brian was frozen.
Me going,
I think we found our thumbnail.
I expected Mark to come back and be like, "I can't see." Who are you?
Oh man.
Oh man.
Someone who loves you.
Hey, what was I saying before I went into Carbonite?
You're talking about how you liked seeing that that version of the Jedi before they became the Jedi that we know and love.
Yeah. It was just such an interesting take on it, and I don't like to say the term gray Jedi, but they were almost like they believed in using all Force and learning every aspect of the Force, not just the light side, but the dark side too, but everything within moderation.
Dramatic view of the Jedi.
What's that?
Not just how did Palpatine say it? Not just the narrow view of the Jedi. You must learn to study.
Yeah, but they were also very much on, keeping balance. That was their big thing, because the planet they lived on, what happened was hundreds of thousand years in the past, these ships showed up on all worlds, these giant pyramid type ships, and put out a call to every Force sensitive that was there. Oh, sorry. My mom was like, "You're loud." And the call gathered all these people, these ships, and it took them to this one planet and dropped them off. And so now all of these different people have to figure out, speaking different languages. You have true Sith, you have all humans, you have all these people that have to live together and form this society. And the planet is so tied to the Force that if one side gets more powerful, like starts to get too much, the planet will react violently, and you'll have Force storms. So you have to maintain, for their own safety, they maintain this balance. And they have two moons. One is the moon, one is the dark side moon. And if you start to fall too much to the light side, you're sent to the dark side moon.
Oh, geez.
Oh, you're sent to the light side moon, so you can look at the dark side moon. And let me see if I can pull up the Jedi code real quick, because it's also really.
Wait, is this the actual Jedi code? Because I've got this one right here.
It's called the Jedi.
Oh, the Jedi.
This isn't the Jedi code. But it's very much about, because they believe, if you go too to the light, you'll become too dogmatic. You'll become too stuck in your ways. But at the same time, if you go too far to the dark side, you can become violent. And so it's very much I'm hoping I can pull this up. Here we go. 1 second. Maybe my computer will.
This sounds really interesting.
What's that?
This Dawn of the Jedi.
Yeah.
So, Mark, you just reminded me of something.
Did I
Just the
disappear
way you were
again?
talking. No, he's just sitting still.
What? Oh, I was flipping through.
So,
What?
Mark, you reminded me of something as you were talking about these proto Jedi characters and their belief structure. And I wrote something years ago in college that got published into a collection of poetry. I'm going to read this to you guys, and I think you'll get a kick out of it. I walk the path between light and dark, keen to the knowledge that a simple choice can push me, shoving me to either side, clean in light or slick oiled in shadow. This man I can be is robed simply, like a true nomad, following the path of the force that created me in all things. My clue to this is that I merely walk a course that could be swayed to light or to dark. I am hoping that as I move in life, I will make a difference. But now hark, it is time to path walk. Not dark, but light. I made my choice, and light will be my deed, as now and forever Jedi I be.
So
Cool.
here is the Jedi code. There is no ignorance, there is knowledge. There is no fear, there is power. In the heart of the Force, I am the revealing fire of light. I am the mystery of darkness, in balance with chaos and harmony, immortality in the Force.
I like it.
That's cool.
Yeah. And they're very much about, like I said, learning all aspects. They have different temples throughout this. This world is called, oh, you would ask me that now, I forgot. But on their home world, they have all these different temples that is dedicated to a different aspect of the Force. So you have like a temple of science, which deals with learning about nature, how nature and the natural world corresponds and works with the Force. And like the main character you're going to read uses alchemy, Force alchemy, and the flesh crafting.
That sounds like Sith tactics there.
But she uses it for good. Like she heals herself, she gets shot. She has like these little experiment that she's working on that she uses to repair a damage when she was shot by a blaster. Yeah, then of course I just got done reading, as I said, the Aftermath trilogy, which was so fun. I don't know if I like it as much as I liked the Heir to the Empire trilogy, but it's close. Like it was such a fun read, and the fact that Legends, one of my favorite characters outside of the main, the Holy Trinity of Luke, Leia, and Han. Wedge is featurely in it. I love that. I'm a huge Wedge fan.
Yeah,
love me some Wedge Antilles. It was so much fun.
That's a fun trilogy.
It is.
It's
I have to admit, I started to read Bloodline, Star Wars Bloodline with Claudia Gray.
Yeah,
I could not get into it. I don't know why. Maybe I don't know. Maybe it was because I'm listening to. What's that?
That's a weird way to say you want to fight.
I'm not saying it was bad, but maybe it was just that. Maybe it was the person who is reading the book, kind of.
Oh, who's the narrator?
I'm gonna give it another try.
Yeah, you audioed it. Okay, that's probably why.
Yeah.
I remember reading that, and I don't know how far you got into it, but there is a galaxy-shattering event in that book that I don't know why they didn't put on screen somewhere. It's a pivotal moment for the galaxy in that book. When you read it, you're like, Garrett, have you read Bloodline?
I haven't.
Okay. It's basically like a spy thriller. It's pretty cool when you start getting into, and then but there's a galaxy shattering moment in it that when I was reading it, my jaw dropped and I had to put it down because I was like, oh my gosh, that's huge. It was one of those things that, like, I don't know why it's in a novel. And just that one thing happening alone makes me feel like Bloodline is essential reading for the sequel trilogy. It's huge.
I'll have to reread. I'll have to go back.
It's massive. And Leia says
I'll
one
have
of
to
my
go
favorite
back
things
sometime and read it.
Leia says one of my favorite things in that book. One of the deepest things I've ever heard her say. She's on, I don't remember what planet she's on. It might be Hosnian. But she's talking to somebody and she's pointing at a star in the sky. And she says, "You see that star right there?" And they're like, "Yeah." And she goes, "That's Alderaan." And but they're like, "But I thought Alderaan was destroyed, 30 years ago by the Empire." And she's like, "It was." She goes, "The light from that explosion hasn't gotten here yet. So in order for me to feel close to home, I have to get further away from it." And I was like, "Oh,
That's deep.
good." I was like,
wow,
that's so cool.
Wow.
It's a really good book. That one, definitely go back and give that another shot because it's pretty gnarly. It's awesome. And you'll know the moment I'm talking about because there's like the news breaks on something, like there's like breaking news on the HoloNet, and you're like, oh my god, jeez. It makes the whole sequel trilogy with like Kylo and everything. You're like, oh, I get it now. I get why he was so pissed off. Okay, got it.
So who wrote Star Wars Bloodlines?
Claudia Gray. She is my queen
Claudia Gray.
when it comes to Star Wars canon. I love Claudia Gray so much.
All right, I'm gonna have to. Okay, yeah, it takes place 6 years before Force Awakens. Yes. All right, I'll give that a look. I'm gonna have to look at it for on audiobook because that's where I typically get my books. Because
that one's
I have like when I worked on my master's degree, that ruined me for reading paperbacks, and I've only read like a couple of paperbacks cover to cover since I finished my degree, and that was almost 10 years ago. Yeah. And the last book I just read was the first, and I read because I read it to my kid. It was the first book in the Wingfeather saga, and so we just finished that the other night. So, like, sitting down to actually pick up a book and physically read it has been kind of difficult for me. Right. So, being able to listen to an audiobook while I'm driving or doing something has been very helpful.
Yeah, Claudia Gray, she is, in my opinion, she's the queen of Star Wars canon. She's responsible for Bloodline. She's responsible for Lost Stars, which to me is still top of the freaking ranking for me on best Star Wars book I've ever read. Lost Stars, she did a Leia novel, Leia, Princess of Alderaan, that was really good. She wrote Master and Apprentice, which was Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon. Like, she is such a good writer.
It's funny that you mentioned Bloodlines because there is a book called Legacy of the Force Bloodlines.
Yes, that's a Legends novel
by Karen Traviss, and I like Karen Traviss. She's written a couple of books in the Halo series, and I like her writing.
Yeah, they kind of recycled some of the titles from Legends. Like there's a Legends novel, The Last Jedi, and then now we have a movie called The Last Jedi.
Yeah,
but yeah.
I will say this: one of the books that I listened to in the last couple of years that I didn't like was it was a companion novel to bridge the events between Jedi Fallen Order and Jedi Survivor.
Battle Scars.
Yes,
that was
I hated it.
That was a horny book. That was a very book. That's the only way I can think of to describe it.
The whole premise of it was the author wanting to get her jollies off with whatever crushes she had on characters.
Yeah.
And it had nothing to do with what was actually establishing canon in the games.
Yeah, I read that one when I was working with Star Wars Newsnet, and I got an early copy of the audiobook, and I've still got it. But I sat and listened to that, and I was like halfway through, and I was like, God, this is a spicy, like horny smut novel. I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Some of the scene, like with Marin and and I was like, oh my gosh. So yeah, it was bizarre, but it was weird too because they also like she wrote the book like the video game. So like when he's wall running, like she put in there the wall runs and like the different things that he had to do.
The audiobook was interesting. Like I didn't mind so much the sound effects.
Yeah.
I thought that was really immersive for what they were doing. And the other audio dramas that have been produced for Star Wars, like the Seeds of Starlight and Haunted Starlight, both of those have similar effects with the lightsabers and stuff like that. That doesn't bother me because it makes it feel more of that audio drama quality. The problem I have is it takes things that are established in a visual medium, that and it revamps and recontextualizes how the characters behave. Because like Marin, she like they make her into a they make it a lesbian romance tryst that she has with this other character that comes out of nowhere. But then you go back into playing the campaign for Star Wars Survivor, and you can tell that she's absolutely smitten with Cal Kestis.
It was just so. I'm curious because I got like an early copy of the audiobook. I want to know if it was the same for the official release because I bought the paperback or the hardback also and reread it, and because I wasn't sure if it'd be because I'm more of a book guy, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, was it one guy for your audiobook narrating it, just doing all the voices? Because that's the reason I have, and he did a really good Marin and a really good.
The narration was fine. I didn't have a problem with that. It was just the plot points of the story.
It was
they like I didn't mind the fact that there was like an Imperial defector. That was cool.
Yeah,
I like it was the focus so much on the romance and not the adventure. It's like it was written for lesbian fans of Sarah J. Maas more than it was for actual Star Wars fans.
Yeah, that book spent a lot of time in Marin's bunk.
Yes, way more than it needed to.
A lot of time in Marin's bunk, and it didn't need to. Yeah, it was completely. I get it. Like I whatever you want to put. I mean, the High Republic is just scattered with stuff like that, but they don't focus on it as much as they did in that book. Like that was just spicy.
There's another book that I think you'd get a kick out of. And again, it's an audio drama that they did that was meant for younger readers, but it was called Padawan's Pride.
Oh,
ironically written by a guy named Brian Q. Miller.
Yes, there is a Brian Miller that writes for Star Wars. That's true. And
that one I very much enjoyed. It was really fun getting to see some of that interim stuff where Anakin was not quite a teenager, but not quite a small child anymore.
Yeah.
And that it was a nice filler, a nice gap filler.
Yeah, and they dropped that one completely unannounced.
Yeah,
I remember the day that came out, everybody's like, "Oh my gosh, there's a new audio drama." I'm like, "What? There wasn't anything set to come out today." And then, sure enough, they were just like, they just shadow dropped it. Didn't even announce it. They just quietly put it out there. Everybody found it and was like, "Oh hey, well that's kind of cool." I wish they would do more books like that. Just surprise us once in a while with one.
Yeah, it was nice.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I'll tell you. Okay, so since we're talking Star Wars books, and you're talking about ones that are rough, I'll tell you one. And Mark's heard me talk about this book.
I think probably more talking about.
He probably has heard me talk about this book way more than he cares to hear about it again. He's like, not again. Oh my god. And actually, believe it or not, Mark, it's been dethroned as my least favorite novel. It's not my least favorite novel anymore. It's been dethroned. It actually has an entire trilogy that dethroned it for Star Wars canon for the worst story, in my opinion. But Heir to the Jedi is probably one of the worst books that have ever been put to paper. And I don't just mean Star Wars books. I mean books in general. That was a horrid book. It was so bad.
It was worse than Twilight.
It was. I would rather read Twilight than read that book again.
Wow, that
book was rough. It's told first person, like Luke Skywalker is telling the story. It's like he's literally saying, instead of Luke Skywalker when he's like, I went and blah 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 whatever. It's just a horrible book. But Mark, it has been dethroned. as my least
Literally.
Star Wars novel. Yes, it's been dethroned. And when I say what dethroned it, I always get yelled at. People are like, "How dare you?" The entire trilogy of Alphabet Squadron completely dethroned that novel for me. I hated Alphabet Squadron, which is weird because I love Alexander Freed's other novels. It's just those 3 novels, I could not stand them. I despise that trilogy. I can't stand it.
Oh my gosh.
I'm probably not making any friends by saying that, but yeah, it dethroned Heir to the Jedi for me. It was pretty bad.
Wow.
And they were thick. And we knew that was going to be a trilogy going into it. I remember being like halfway through the second book, and I was just like, this book has to be good. And then I was like, oh my gosh, in 6 months, the third one's coming out. I have to read it too. And I felt claustrophobic because I still had one more of them I had to get through. Oh my gosh, it was rough.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah.
There's some good books. There's some not so good books. It's just a matter of
because I was for years I was the Legends guy. Well, before it was Legends, when it was just the Star Wars, just the Star Wars novels. And for me, what got me out of it was when they introduced the using Vong, because it seemed to be one day the books just went on forever. Like before, they'd had a good system of doing trilogies or duologies or one shots. Like you'd have a series, it would be like a series of trilogies. The only exceptions were the X-Wing books and the Young Jedi Knight books. They had a series that were followed Han and Leia's kids on Yavin as they're training, but they were a lot smaller and they were young adult kind of books. But then when you got to the Vong Wars and the New Jedi Order, it was like 20 books.
Yeah.
And it just went on and on and on. And the Vong just became too OP. They're just too overpowered. And you could tell by the end of it, you kind of figure out like, oh, that's what's going on. They're basically doing a complete reset. They basically wanted to reset the entire Star Wars universe, start from scratch, and kind of reboot everything. And it's like, oh, okay. And then it was just kind of,
and that was the series that killed Chewie off too, wasn't it?
Yes, that was the one they dropped a moon on him, and I think that was one thing that kind of got me out of it. It's like, really, you're gonna kill Chewbacca?
Yeah,
like, and in the stupidest way ever, like literally dropping a moon on him. It's like
even Iron Man survived getting hit with a moon in Infinity War. Like, come on, Chewie, do better.
yeah. But I read some of the other ones after that, but yeah, I just kind of never really. That's kind of why I'm wanting to do a reread of all of Legends to kind of, I don't know, just kind of reread and maybe even read some of the newer stuff too. And I haven't read a lot for a long time, so yeah, I just wanted to start reading again. So we're gonna have to start wrapping up here. We're coming up on our hour. So it's been fun. Brian, why don't you tell the people out there where they can contact you if they want to get a hold of you?
You guys can find the Facebook page for the Star Wars Canon Podcast, which hopefully here before long we'll be able to get back going again. I've got a co-host in Cairo, Egypt named Yusuf Wali, who's chomping at the bit. We're doing the same thing with Canon that you're doing with Legends. We started over with the timeline and just started working our way through it. And that's why we were rereading phase 2 of High Republic. And that was one of the reasons I decided.
Is it called Star Wars Canon only?
Canon Podcast. It's just Canon Podcast. Yeah. And you can find us for the Facebook page there. Hopefully we'll be getting a show going again here before long. Like I said, like life gets in the way. when you've got 3 kids, and one of them just told me the other day she wants to join the National Guard. So it's getting hectic with trying to keep up with everything. So and I've got a wild job as it is too. So hopefully things will start calming down here before long. We can start pumping content out again. But you guys can find us there. Yeah, that's about it.
Cool.
All right. What about you, Garrett?
Well, before I talk about me, I'm going to just pitch Brian Karasik here. You guys can connect with him on Instagram at Korosis because he posts for the Sith Library and Archives as Darth Korosis because he's our local Darksider. And it's a carefully curated, listing of all sorts of information about the dark side and Sith lore and stuff like that. Really cool stuff. Give him a check out, and you won't be disappointed, especially if that's your cup of the Force. As for me, you guys can connect with me on Instagram and X at GKJ_publishing, where I talk about my show on YouTube the right way. On that show, we do book recommendations, author interviews, and creative writing tips. I've got a new episode coming out. Well, I just had one come out on Saturday. The rebroadcast of the 3 main segments will be dropping this week individually. And then I'll have a new live stream on February 7th and a brand new episode on February 14th. Beyond that, I have a new episode of Snackame. It was supposed to come out this last Friday, but because of me being a moron, it didn't get scheduled until this Friday. So join me and my co-host Janae as we are jumping into the second half of Ranma 1/2 while eating some ramen. We try to be thematic with what we choose. And then we'll have a new episode again in February.
Awesome. All right. As for us right here at War of the Stars, if you want to get a hold of us, you can do so at our email. That is warofthestars1@gmail.com. All other social media, you can find us at War of the Stars 77. If you want to support the show, Ko-fi.com/War of the Stars. That is ko-fi.com/War of the Stars. Or go to spreadshirt.com/shop/War of the Stars to check out the cool merch that you can get. We got all kinds of merch there, t-shirts, coffee mugs, whatever you want, you can get it there. With the cool War of the Stars logo that you saw, that was created by Brian Miller. Our own, I said our own Brian Miller, but yes, created by Brian Miller. So thank you for that cool little logo we got. We're, of course, a part of Feast of Fandoms, the Feast of Fandoms network. Shows for every genre of nerddom that you can think of, not just Star Wars, but Star Trek, MCU, DC, anime, you name it. It is a veritable Feast of Fandoms, as the name would suggest. That will do it for this week. Check us out next week as we are going to our Tech Talk, and we're going to be talking droids in our Tech Talk. So as always, remember, this is not just my Star Wars. This is not just your Star Wars. This is our Star Wars. Until next time, may the Force be with you.